Now we need to discuss all the 5 positions of the pentatonics. So 5 positions, one based off of each note of the scale as we go up A minor. So each one of those notes is going to have its own pattern. Now the patterns, we learn those just so we can play anywhere on the neck, so we can move around. We're not stuck right here for the rest of our lives trying to play a solo within 4 frets. We can go up here, we can go up here, we can go anywhere we want. And it's good to remember that we have these different positions, but no matter which position you're playing, it's always the same 5 notes. We're not changing notes. We just have those same notes in different places all across the neck. The way the guitar is set up, you have, say you have an E right here, you have the same E right here, the same one here, and here, and here, and if I had 24 frets, you'd have that one on the 6th string too. So you have, the same notes are all over the neck. And then of course you have your octaves, so the same note in different registers. So a low E, up an octave, up an octave, up an octave. All the same notes though, they're all E's, they're just in different places in the register. So these 5 positions are taking those 5 notes and showing you where to play those 5 notes anywhere on the neck. And then what we do is we see those 5 positions. I like to view them as shapes and patterns, and each one is like a puzzle piece. So you have, say, position 1, you see it as a box, then these notes up here are going to be the bottom half of the next position. So they lock together like that. And you'll be able to see these on the diagrams, the figures that I have written out, all of them put together. But you got one, it locks in with the next one, then the next one locks in, and they all form like Voltron. If anybody remembers that, or never mind, I don't remember. So you're going to see all those, one position here, second position, third, fourth, fifth, and then you're back up to first position, up an octave. So same as this one, just up an octave. So let's go through these positions, take a look at them, see how they connect, and then we're gonna work a little bit on how to practice them and technique and some ideas to get them really under your fingers so you know them really well, and then being able to move from one position flawlessly into the next position. So you don't have to think, okay, I'm playing, now I got to think about my next position, and then I'll start here, and then I think about the next position. We're going to be able to go slide through all those positions. And hit the right note at the end. So, then we'll be able to move all around, and it's going to be great. So let's take a look at it. So first position, we've already seen it a little bit, and I've already talked about it with major and minor. We're gonna do all this in A minor. So that means that we're going to start on the 5th fret with our first finger and that position 1. So A is our root. So we play our first position all the way up and back down. So we go through that. Now remember again, all is just 5 notes, just different registers of those notes. And let's remember when we talked earlier a little bit about hand position and picking position and right hand down here. Super important. I can't stress that enough because it will clean up your playing a ton if you are keeping all those strings that you're not using quiet. So again, we're going to start here with our first finger right behind the fret, and we're going to alternate pick. So down, up. So you got to down, up for each string. So we're going to go down, up, down, up. Nice and slow so that we play correctly. We're thinking about it. Our right hand is now covering all these low strings. Come back down. Finger positions right behind the frets. We're alternate picking everything, and we're making beautiful music. It always makes me, you have to go into stairway when you play an A minor chord. Okay, back on track. So that's position 1, right? Now, another way to practice these is you can go and use the hammer-ons and pull-offs techniques that we discussed earlier. So a hammer-on for each string. So we're going to pluck, hammer on, same thing for each string. And on the way back down, we're going to do the opposite and do pull-offs. So plucking first and pulling off. Great exercise. Not only are you going over your pentatonic positions, you're also working out your left hand, working on those hammer-ons and pull-offs, and kind of doubling up on your, you know, all the stuff you're taking care of at the same time. So, again, we pick. Then we work on the hammer-on pull-offs. Remembering to keep everything nice and in time. Especially with hammer-ons and pull-offs, it's really easy to make those uneven, and I see a lot of my younger students, they're so concerned with trying to get that hammer-on happening that they'll do it really quick because they're so thinking about really just trying to hammer on. But which is obviously a good thing because you got to do that, but we also want to keep everything in time. So our rhythm is nice and even, so we're not going, you know, everything should be da 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 da, and we should probably talk about using a metronome because that is always a plus. Setting a metronome at maybe 90 beats per minute, and that would be your quarter note. So the metronome is going like this constantly, and you got to put your notes together with that. So see how everything's nice and even. Tap your foot to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then back down. Keeping everything nice and even. Kind of dance to it. So, remember that. And again, don't go too fast, because if you go too fast, you practice mistakes, and nobody wants to practice mistakes, because that's counterproductive. Let's go on to the next position, which is figure 4, I believe. So what we're going to do now, same group of notes, we're moving on to the next puzzle piece. So what we started on the root here, now we're going to start on the next note of the scale. So we're going to start with our first finger, and the pattern is like this. So we've got that going on. Again, fingers behind the frets, and nice and even picking, always alternate picking. Some guys, to stay like in position, if we were to start with our second finger so that we're not moving around a lot. So we're using 2 and 4, second and fourth fingers for these, which I see that as something that can be done as like a technical thing to get your hands warmed up. I find that when I'm using these positions and I'm actually playing a solo or something, I would never go to my second and fourth fingers if I'm playing. I'm always using my first and third. You know, I don't even know if I could do that with these ones. It wouldn't be very good. So I always start with my first fingers. I'm always using 1 and 3, 1 and 4, because for me, in the real world, and I'm using that, that's what I'm going to use, those fingers. So 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3. So right there, we bring up our first finger, and then come back down. A little transition there. So that's our second pattern. That's our second position. Again, practice that with your hammer-ons and pull-offs. Nice and even. Remember, on those pull-offs, really pull the string. They're not called pull-offs just for fun. You gotta actually pull, and remember to keep this anchored so we're not, you know, getting out of tune or anything. That just sounds funky. So, position 2. You can see from position 1, we have this part of the box is now the bottom part of this next position. And now we have the top part of this is going to be the bottom part of position 3. So now we're going to start on the third note of our pentatonic scale. So 10th fret now with our first finger. We're going to go 1, 3, 1, 3. We're going to move back to first finger. So that's position 3. Again, the next puzzle piece in line. So we do that with hammer-ons and pull-offs. Nice and even. fingers behind your frets, right hand down here, and playing nice and even at a good tempo where you're not, you know, feeling rushed. So everything is just, you know, we're making everything happen here. Remember, speed will come with time as you do this a whole ton, and you're practicing every day, right? Every day, and the speed will happen as long as you just what you need is your hands to be coordinated first. Speed will come after that. So